And now, fresh off a 30-year break from his life in over-the-air radio, here's the host of the most originally named 15 Years Too Late podcast, JaySapChats.
Chris Booth, welcome to JaySapChats.
Thanks for having me, man. I am very excited to have this talk with you. I'll tell you, this was when I looked at the calendar this morning, this was a highlight of the day.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what else the day had entailed, but I understand. Yeah, I get it. I understand. So it's great to talk to you. You are a marketing guru. You're the founder of Charm. The website's HireCharm.com. I love it. Action-filled, which I think is really cool, especially when you have a pretty common name like Charm, right?
Bingo.
I mean, ink stores,
you know the struggle.
I understand. Like I laugh because, our slogan is not a tattoo shop.
Yes.
And, that's kind of helped us stand out from others in this space because it seems like everybody you shake a stick at is named Inked.
Well, absolutely. And even beyond that, man, just having that level of kind of like comedy, calling out that we know our name blends in. We're not a tattoo shop. I love that. It's interrupt, man. And
I appreciate it.
Because, and even very honestly, in terms of just the business strategy, so many folks are so concerned with this buttoned up and, it just becomes inauthentic after a period of time. And just, hey, we're like a tattoo shop. I mean, you're a person, you're a human. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I've always done business like that, right? I mean, you hear like it's not personal, it's business. I understand the origins of that. I get it conceptually, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how you separate it. Like my business feeds my family. I mean, this is like a big deal to me. I mean, it's everything. It's not my whole identity, but it's a big piece of it. I mean, I love my company. People know me for my company. I mean, to say it's not personal seems
absolutely. It's completely, deeply one-to-one agree with you on that. I think you have some insight into our business, and that's exactly how I operate as well, is that to think or to have the thought that I could ever remove Chris, his personality, et cetera, from the actual operations, it just doesn't feel right, man. Of course, we have to scale. We do these things to, of course, build the business up, but it is that, we can't lose the human in the process. And your employees are going to appreciate you a lot more for that as well, because they don't want to work for some faceless giant entity. They want to know there's other people working to my left and to my right.
How about this? If they want to work for a faceless giant entity, they made a pretty bad choice. I mean, we're clearly not that. All right. So I like to get into a lot of the background, right? Like we'll talk about your expertise in marketing, and I find you to be one of the most brilliant marketing minds I've ever spoken with. And I don't say that. I don't say that lightly, but you didn't start out that way. So where are you from? Like, where were you born?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I was born in Tucson, Arizona, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And so I'll share that, family, couple engineers, musicians, left LA, moved out to Tucson, joined the military, and I was born, military kid. Grew up out though.
Wait, so dad and mom in the Air Force?
So dad was working Department of Defense Air Force stuff. He's just a really kick-ass electrical engineer. He's developed, and won't dive into it, but he's developed some really cool soldering kind of tech that he helps the Air Force with. And so we moved out, and I'll share that.
Was he in the Air Force or was he civilian?
Yeah. Okay. So he ended up joining. Started civilian, doing some contracting stuff, Department of Defense, and then ends up joining full time.
Okay. So how long did you live? How long did you live in Tucson?
So this is what's funny, is because of how specified the thing that he was doing was you can clock it at, we were stationed at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base for all of the 18 years that I lived, as a military.
Wow. So, I mean, that's so rare.
Oh, beyond rare. We're talking, for as long as I can remember, going to the exact same detachment, hanging out with all the exact same folks. And you would hear, as I've learned that as your reaction was, what? You're not moving every 3 to 4 years? And so, that was
Yeah.
cool. I will
Yeah.
say, I remember as a high schooler, we did have the option to go out to Dayton and do the officer school stuff, and parents decided against it. But I was kind of mad because I wanted to move. But I'll share, man, that, it was really excellent because it's not that we ended up staying in Tucson. A lot of folks, if you're from the area, you know an area called Vail, and it tends to house a lot of Raytheon, Honeywell, engineering type folks. And so I grew up out in Vail, and you get this juxtaposition of farmers. And so you're, hanging out with your friends on their ranches. I share a story often about waking up at 5 a.m. to go castrate bulls. It's a very core memory there. But at the same time, you're going to high school with a bunch of children, engineers.
So Were you living on the base?
No, I wasn't. So we're out way deep in the boonies, out in the middle of freaking nowhere, man, out in Vail. And so dad would do the commute, and then, you're waking up every day to bike with the same 3 friends in the middle of the desert with nothing to do.
Yeah, so, I mean, really, like Vail is like literally the desert. And back then it was even more barren than it is now. And now it's barren. I mean, you're miles from other human beings.
Oh, yeah. The way we describe it is that it's that you start off by going, you know where Tucson is, right? Have you heard of Sierra Vista? Okay, well, now average those out somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what'd mom do for a living?
So mom, dude, and it's awesome. And she's a massive inspiration. We were fortunate enough to be that she could be a stay-at-home mom. But it was after, a few years, we started going off to middle school, high school. And I will stand on it. My mom is a damn badass woman. She went and became a hospice nurse. And she's actually just this week retiring after something like 15 years. And she stayed in hospice all 15 years. And if you know hospice, man, that's a darn hard job. And she's a very excellent woman. And so, yeah, we're all the kids, we're going, Mom, come on, man, finally, because she pours her soul. And I think this is a characteristic of just excellent people, is you pour your soul into what you do. And, hospice is hard, man. It's taxing. And so the children, we're all celebrating, dad as well. And it's exciting. So
how many brothers and sisters?
One little brother. He is a phenomenal, could not be more fond of my little brother. He works at a company called Zano, super awesome company. And my little sister, who I also love, but we're really similar in personality, so we take butt heads a little bit. She's going to college right now, and she's looking at following mom's steps, nursing stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she's got to be like super much, a lot younger, right? Like, what's the age gaps there?
Bingo, man. Yeah, we're talking exactly about 10 years on that. So little brother is about 4. We're really close, we are experiencing a lot of those same life milestones, versus little sister, not fully there yet, but it's all love.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how many folk what's the upbringing like? I mean, are you, you're kind of in that middle age range, right? I'm old, but you're in that middle age range where so for me, in fact, I just had this convo with my kid, my son, and he's like, what did you do when you left the house without a phone? And, like I told him, I said, I would leave the house in the morning. I would go up to my buddy. I would just know to be home. My mom would tell me when I left, be home at 5. But you're in that middle age range, right? So you sort of probably had a little tech or didn't have tech, or where?
Yeah, so you're nailing it on the head. I was a part of that generation where I remember, freshman year, all of your friends are starting to get their Razor phones, if you remember, and then you're hearing about Sidekick. It was that cool flip phone that kind of swiveled. So yeah, I got to see that, and I'll share. My parents were very much so on the let's drag our heels. Our children do not need tech, and I'll share. It was to the point where it was like we're not even going to allow playing video games, doing that type of stuff during the weekdays. Weekends, you can do whatever you want, but it was very limited in our household. It was, though, that as time passed, and, I talked to a lot of people have this experience. When you talk to your younger siblings, you go, the mom and dad that I grew up with are not the mom and dad that you know.
Yeah.
But it was very, as the firstborn, I think they were definitely intense is the word that I would use. And then, it kind of got a little less intense as the younger ones started to come up. But it was an awesome, man. I can echo exactly as you said. It was, dude, sun comes up, we knock out chores, and then it's grab the bike, grab the scooter, maybe, whatever it is. You go knock on the friends' doors, and then, dude, you're out in the desert, riding around in washes, building things, some cases burning things down, getting a little trouble. Story for another time. And just, being little rapscallions out in the desert. But that was exactly how it was. And then, man, tech comes out. We start playing, and this is actually cool, Jay. So I went to a school called Empire High School. And Empire, if you look it up, was the first school in the nation. They had a partnership with Apple, and and we're talking like 2004 or something like this, that they launched the school, and it's that they become the first school in the nation, sponsored by Apple, to do laptops. And this was awesome, man. We had Good Morning America, German news crews. They'd come out every year. They interview the students. And so it was funny because we had that juxtaposition of, Chris, you can't play video games in the week and all of that, but then we're doing our schoolwork on the laptops. And so it was interesting to navigate, definitely.
How did Apple get involved with that school?
That I'm not super sure. Well, actually, I'll share. This is funny, man. I give talks at the school often now. I'm huge on youth mentorship. I think it's one of the most important ways we can give back. But I give talks at the school, and it was just actually this last month I chatted with the principal. I asked him that question, and I didn't get super meat and potatoes on it. But basically, my understanding is there was an administrator who had just worked in Arizona for decades, and it's man, a lot of this world is who you know, and this administrator had just relationships with tech folks and whatnot. Ended up through a personal relationship meeting someone at Apple and said, hey, would you be interested in sponsoring our district? And that's kind of my understanding.
And I mean, Apple's not Apple at that time. I mean, it's 2004. I mean, they're just looking for opportunities. It's not like people aren't lined up with Apple saying, I mean, Apple was distressed.
Absolutely.
So people are, and I mean, I would imagine in 04, the Windows application was much more popular. It makes sense, right? It's funny how something happens like that on the ground floor. So how many kids in the high school graduating class?
Yes. Dang, good question, man. So in mine, it was about 110, 120. You're talking, it is, we joke, man. It's hilarious because you're working on the laptop. We were doing some really, at the time, pretty darn advanced stuff for tech, whatever, programming. And it's hilarious because you're in your tech class and then you hear the cows mooing right outside the window.
Funny.
And so we had, I think, by the time I was heading out of there, the school was starting to grow a bit. The classes under us were coming up. I think it was about 600 students total when I
So you're a really tech-driven guy. It sounds like that doesn't come from home, but it sounds like you could probably fix a tractor. Am I correct?
So that's true. But what I will say is, it does come from home. And there's, again, you get the retrospective, the maturity, the perspective as you get older. And I'll share that kind of this christening, a title line of our household was intensity. And my dad, keep in mind, he's a physics, electrical engineer. He starts getting into programming stuff himself. And so sci-fi was always a topic of our house. We're Trekkies, not Star Wars. We like the actual getting into the math, the ideas, the real stuff. And so it was always there, man, for sure. And I'll also share, my dad is literally, we'll use the word appropriately, he is a phenom musician, and that he knows folks from Rush. He plays with Saturday Night Live. He's a drummer. And so you're growing up with this guy that's phenomenal, physics, math, all this stuff, Star Wars. Then at the same time, we're sitting at the dinner table mapping out all these progressive time charts. And if you know anything about music, 7/8 into 9 into 13 and doing all this pretty complex stuff. So we had that nerd element. It was just that, man, things where you perform at a high level always. And I'll tell you, this is hilarious, man. I've chatted with my parents about this, that we had a rule. Chris, if you have a 4.0 in high school, you got all your stuff straight, you got all your A's, and dude, I graduated with 4.9. You got a 4.0, you have no curfew. We'll even give you a pretty damn good allowance. You can go do whatever the heck you want. Still games. But the second brother that I had 1B, doesn't matter if it's a B plus. And this is hilarious. I remember a conversation with dad on this. He goes, there's no games whatsoever. You get to sit inside, no internet, blah, 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 blah. You get to read. And I remember, man, I was into paintballing and I was like, hey, I'm going to go play this tournament, dad. And I had a B, man. And he goes, hell no, that's games. You're not allowed to play games. And I went, dad, that's not a game. Like, come on, man. And I remember this argument. And so, yeah, it was intense in all directions. And so, the message was, if you're going to do something, you do it damn well.
Yeah. So, it's funny. You mentioned that you were, you had the nerd thing going at your house. One of the things I found is the smaller the school, the less that matters. Were you able to cross over inside of different friend groups despite the, nerd connotation?
Absolutely. You are on the freaking money there, man. I will tell you, my best friend who I go on to sell a tech company with, he's a football captain.
Oh, wow.
It's that you're talking, everyone is friends, man. And it's that also the community is so small. And this is a community is
Yeah.
so important. It's one of the things I lament now living in the bigger city is that, dude, you know everyone and everyone's family helps everyone and you grow up in those circles. And so, dude, that kid's just good at football. Doesn't mean that we didn't grow up, screwing around, doing things together. And yeah, man, I like computers. I like art now. And he likes
Yeah.
throwing a ball. And we're still boys. We're still friends.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, so in the bigger schools, what happens is these subsections start to develop and you like lose sight of the fact that the kid who likes music used to play with the kid who likes music, and you like morph into these little cliquey groups. But like smaller environments, you almost don't have the luxury to do that, because if you start to break out in cliquey groups, like you just find that there's not enough scale or mass to be able to actually do anything.
Yep. You're on the money.
All right. So 4.9, that, by the way, that point, it used to be 4.0 when I was younger, like all this BS with like
Dude,
AP classes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that all happened after I got out, but whatever.
Yep.
I mean, I was a 4.0 student, 2.0 in high school, 2.0 2.0 in high school, 2.0 in college. That's how I got there. But so,
yes.
How does it, like, how does that, I mean, you went to University of Arizona. Did you look at other schools? What was your,
tell
me
I
about,
got a
like,
great story about this, man. The parents love to hear this. And so, they're absolutely pushing me really damn hard, man. And I thank them for that, honestly. At the time as a high schooler, I wasn't super happy about that, working a lot harder than friends, but it was that, man. Yes, I did get accepted to a lot of kick-ass schools. And Jay, you're gonna love this, man, because I know you've got your, you're young and all of this. And I get accepted to a really good school, Johns Hopkins. You might have heard of it. And I go, I've been dating the same girl for the last 3 years. I think I'm going to stay at the U of A. So we.
Oh, wow. You stayed at U of A for a girl.
Oh, dude, if I could build that time machine and go smack the hell out of myself. Yeah. So imagine going to your parents after they've been kicking your ass and you go, and listen, man, I knew I wanted to do one of two things, either some investment banking or some physics thing. And the way I kind of rationalize it, well, the U of A is still in the top 20 for those.
Well, hold on. Did you want to be an investment banker, or did you just want to be rich?
I wanted to be rich. That was what it was, and so I'll share, man, the girl I was dating, her parents were like the top selling real estate agents in Arizona for 10 years straight. I was going to Thanksgiving and we had folks that, we have cooks and like literally servants, more or less. And I grew up in track homes in the middle of the desert. And so you could imagine how jarring this was. And all of a sudden, Jay, I'll tell you, it's hilarious, man. I did good, went off to college. I got a really competitive internship and I started convincing myself, you know what I need? A BMW. And, you start getting all of that just materialistic. I want to be rich and I see investment banking is how I do it. And had a few experiences where it made me realize, hell no, that's not what I want to do, man. And I think
yeah, I was going to say, before we get into the through college, did you have jobs in high school? Like what was your, you worked the whole time too?
Oh, brother. We're talking from the age of 12, man. I walked down onto that referee field when I saw the referee running all the soccer games, the basketball games, I said, hey, how do I do this? And he got, dude, I'll give you like $40 a day if you come on out and ref these with me. And I said, hell yeah. And
so
then
you refereed soccer?
Yeah, refereed soccer, did that for years. Then I eventually got my club where you actually become official and you start refereeing, the club games, did that until I was about 15, 16, just wasn't consistent enough. So I got my 15-year-old, the worker permit, walked my ass down to Taco Bell and said, hey, I want a job. And I got hired. And Jay, this is so freaking funny, man.
Did you stop refereeing games?
No, man. I was in the hustle, dude. I was grinding the weekend games, doing Taco Bell during the week. And this is funny, man, because now that I run an organization, there's a conversation that I had with one of my managers, my general manager at Taco Bell. That's hilarious now that I have perspective. And she comes to me and says, Chris, man, why can't I just find more of you? Like, I just need to stamp you over. And I laughed to myself. I was like, what do you mean? I just walked in. Like, I was right here. It was easy to find me. And now that I'm the general manager, when I find that also, I think back to the conversation I had with Lydia. And there's people I would go, man, I wish I could just stamp you. And it's funny with the
problem with finding all-star employees is they don't stay in place.
No, you got to take care of them, man. Absolutely.
Well, no, I mean, even if you do, I mean, a lot of them end up being like you and me, which, you always say, like, I want someone just like me. It's like, I don't want someone. I actually don't want someone just like me. If I get someone just like me, they're going to go start their own business.
That's true. That is true.
Because look what you did and look what I did.
Absolutely.
So Did you know that I refereed ice hockey for 20 years?
No. Okay. So you did the same. Dude, tell me.
I mean, my story was pretty simple. I played ice hockey. I got
Were you an
too many.
enforcer? You're a big boy.
I'm tiny. I had gotten too many penalties because I was cheap and had a temper and didn't know how to control myself when I was younger. And my parents wanted me to see the game from a different perspective. So they signed me up for referee class. And from the time I was 15 years old, I started refereeing, and I refereed until I was in my early 30s. And I loved it. I mean, it taught me a new perspective on the game, great money. You know what it did more than anything, though?
Tell me.
Camaraderie.
Absolutely.
I loved the camaraderie with the guys. It allowed me to stay in the game, and the camaraderie with the guys inside of the referee's room was as good, if not better, than the camaraderie with the players.
Absolutely. And you even touch on a broader thing, and I'll speak from a male perspective here, and that fraternity is something that unfortunately is lacking in a lot of places as we move into kind of this digital age. I talk to a lot of younger men that I do mentorship for, and you'll hear over and over again, the only place I find this camaraderie, this fraternity is the gym. I go to the gym, I talk to other guys there, and that's about it. And dude, I'll confess, I miss exactly what you're touching on. Talking with the competitors, the other guys I work with, just this camaraderie. Yep, I know exactly what you're speaking about.
What actually soured me, what actually I loved about it soured me on it as well, though, because ultimately I would show up for games and there would be guys there that were just kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and they didn't really work hard or they didn't hustle. And it bothered me that we were the only ones getting paid to be there, and everybody else was paying to be there, especially in a sport like ice hockey. And I always used to say, and this was my mantra, everybody yells at referees. That's just the way that sports is.
Yeah.
And you know that when you put on the stripes that you're going to get yelled at. You just know it, right? But I always felt like if I did the work to get into the right position on the ice to make the call, I didn't want to hear any guff if I made the wrong call. If I wasn't in the right position, if I didn't work to get there, if I wasn't trying my best or my hardest to be where I was supposed to be, I felt like it was fair game and the criticism was right. And I feel this way in life. If I do all the right things and something goes wrong, like, who hasn't had that happen to them? Show empathy and show some understanding. Obviously, sports can get very emotional. Business can get very emotional.
Damn straight.
But, context matters. And I've tried to carry that into my own business life.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd echo that wholeheartedly. That's interesting though. The disenfranchising. I can comment as well just on something that you brought up in terms of things going wrong, and we talk about this all the time, and the emotion, and there are things that will go wrong. In fact, I think I've even said to yourself, I'm not going to guarantee anything. The only thing I can guarantee is that things will go wrong. But the other side is that what I will also promise you is on the other side of things going wrong is I'm never going to stop showing up. And if you can do that, well then, dude, you're good, man.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. All right. So you work at Taco Bell.
Yep.
Is that your last job before you go to college?
Yeah. So, yep. I was working Taco Bell.
How long did you work at Taco Bell?
Probably about two years, I want to say, because I was, about 15 and a half. I skipped a grade. So I went off to college about like 17 and a half. And I did it for, a semester, skipped second grade. So nothing too insane.
Okay.
I was reading faster than the other kids. I loved reading.
Okay.
And that was it, dude. And so, I think about 2.5 years. And I'll tell you, you go to college, man, and you start getting perspective, because I'm from a little ass town. And you start meeting cool people, kids that come from families with money. And I had long hair, man. I was listening to metal music.
Well, hold on a second. What do you mean you had long hair? Don't you have long hair now?
Excuse me. Yeah, that's right. Because I'm thinking about the next phase where I convince myself I got to cut it off. And then you're right. Yes, I do.
All right. Have you always carried long hair? Have you always had that?
Yeah. I dig it, man. Cause you can see, I want to be at least a rocker. I want to
Yeah.
live that life. So
I mean,
yeah.
like, so just curious, right? Like, do you fancy yourself a musician
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
rock,
hell yeah.
and you
That's
fancy
what
yourself you fancy yourself a rocker, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you were to boil down, Chris, who are you? Who do you want to be? It's a musician at the end of the day. But Jay, this is the unifying factor though, because how do you go from musician to business guy? And how does this all?
Yeah,
It is that there is a creative unifying element.
of
It's that.
course.
And it's, this is such a damn important topic in context of all this AI stuff that's happening, is that you're going to have these general processes that are averaging out as the AI looks for best practices. And it's going to say, these are the 7 best things you could do. And yes, that's true of the past market conditions. But as we look forward, your competitive differentiator, as everyone is using these tools, is going to be your creativity. What new things can we do? How can we use these tools in ways they haven't been used before? And that unifies you from business, and that unifies you in music. It's this creative thread.
Yeah. I mean, the way I've heard it is that the people who are going to win in AI, and that this is when I've heard everything, not everything, but I've heard a lot of noise. The people who don't try to replace employees with AI, but try to better their employees with AI are the ones that are likely going to win. And that,
Absolutely.
I mean, we'll see. It's all going to play out right in front of us. It seems so new. And having lived this now, I mean, I felt like I missed the internet, and I don't want to miss AI, but hindsight's always 2020. I mean, I would love to own Bitcoin at a penny.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Or how about sub a penny? But there's a lot of people who own Bitcoin at sub a penny, Chris, that sold at $800.
Jay, I actually built a cryptocurrency exchange. I don't know if you know that. And I lived in Holland, lived in Malta, did that whole thing. And I'll tell you, I can verify. Yeah, you would have sold it off early because I did that too.
Yeah.
And I look back and go, God darn, brother, I was in Ethereum at $8, and we're talking a lot, man. And
what is it, 2,300 now?
Yeah. And, it peaked, dude, in the family, we got a funny joke where I actually went to my dad. And I said, Dad, I was paying him rent at the time. I was like, Dad, I ain't got a lot of money, but I got a lot of this Ethereum stuff. And I have a transaction where I transferred him 20 Ethereum to pay for something like $600 of rent. And we still today joke, he still has it. Thank God. I was checking in on him, making sure, because he's smart. He's got the
it's not even that he's smart. He wouldn't even know how to sell it, I'm guessing.
Probably.
I mean, he probably forgot. I mean, it's like you're involved in it. So you're deeply invested. You're watching it. You're stalking it. Like he set it and forget it. He took it from me, and it was just like, I have no idea. I'll leave it there. Now all of a sudden he wakes up and he has it because what else are you going to do besides have it?
Oh yeah, exactly. We joke, $40,000 rent, man. I hope you're happy with that.
That's funny. All right. So what happens in college? Like you go through college, good experience, a lot of friends, lifelong friends, girlfriend, wife, married, first job. Take me through it.
I get my ass kicked bluntly. I'll tell you straight up, man to man, I get my ass kicked because all of that structure that my parents gave me was forced by them. There was no actual function where Chris had discipline.
You were that kid.
Yeah, absolutely. I was an idiot.
You were the kid that goes off to college and goes overboard because he had everything run for him when he was. Absolutely. I mean, you hear that story all the time. You're saying that was you.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And I'll tell you, dude, I got my ass kicked. I literally, and Jay, this is freaking funny, man, is that because again, I got some perspective now. I think back to 17-year-old Chris. We're about a year into college, and I give my dad a call, man, and I'm borderline in tears. I'm getting my ass kicked, and you know what, Jay? I'm giving him a call because I got my first ever C. And I give my dad I know, man. And I'm giving my dad a call, and I'm so sad. And I'm oh man, my parents, my dad laughs and he goes, Chris, come home, man. I'm going to chat with you. We sit down on the couch, and then they give me you want to know who your parents really are talk. And this was who I was at 8. This is what I was doing. Boom. I went, wow, really? All the, the perfect parents that you have, you go, you're real people. And so, I'll tell you, kick my ass. And there was a huge, huge formative period of my life. It's not that we ever exit a formative. I think we're always forming. We're always getting better at ourselves, but we do. There's a crunch, a squeeze that Chris has to go through, where it's that I go, well, man, I'm sucking. I'm not good. I'm getting my ass kicked. How do I become a better version of Chris? And I break down, and this isn't any philosophy you haven't heard before, but it is that, all right, well, Chris exists in context of his mind, his body, and his maybe spirit. What am I doing for my mind? And it was at that moment I went, damn, I'm lopsided. All I do is school, and I think about math and, whatever at school. What am I doing for my health, my body? Am I going to the gym? Do I exercise? Do I eat well? Hell no. What about my spirit? Do I meditate? Do I think about these ethereal ideas? Do I pray? No. And it was that I went, okay, well, I'm sucking in 2 out of the 3 departments. And then even beyond that, what's my modus operandi? What's the thing that drives me? Is it discipline? Is it emotion and inspiration? And well, Jay, that the thing that gets us to the end goal, that gets us through, is discipline, because inspiration is an emotional facility. It's easy to be inspired. And it's not to say it's bad, but when you have, and when you have the inspiration, use it, because it's like NOS. It'll send you 20x into the atmosphere. But when the inspiration, that emotion starts running out, you better hope the discipline kicks in, because that is the thing that carries you on through. And it was that, well, as a young man, you have to start realizing this stuff. And I was like, man, I'm emotional, not taking care of myself in terms of my body. I'm not taking care of myself in terms of my spirit. All I care about is just being good at school. You got to go back to the drawing board. And that is, you hear a lot of young men, dude. That's what you got to do. And it's hilarious, brother. Oh, yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, dude, it was a combination of things, man. It was that I wasn't seeing success as I wanted to in terms of my school, in terms of personal relationships, having trouble with my lady, maybe not being as successful as other friends as well. Lots of different things, because I'll share too. And for better or for worse, I have a goal, and it's just always in my mind. I want to be elite. I want to be excellent at anything I do. And you go from this jarring thing where it's like, dude,
like perfectionism, excellent?
To a point, I would say. And that's something I've had to, there's this quote, dude, that good enough, or rather perfect, is the enemy of good enough.
Oh, for sure.
I had to kill a lot of that off. And it's not, I'm a very competitive person, and I just want to do things at an excellent level.
So there wasn't an event that triggered you. It was just like over a long period of time. You kind of had that low grade,
absolutely,
angst that lived with you, and then finally it was like
not living right, man. And when you're
Chris,
not.
Yeah, Chris had to come to Jesus with Chris.
To Jesus. That's what we say. Damn straight. Exactly. And it's that, man, you look at men that you respect, you look at your dad, people that mentor you, et cetera, and you go, what am I doing to become that type of man? And you look at yourself, I'm not doing shit, man. What I'm doing is honestly pathetic. And it's tough. It's hard to have that. There's the saying, there's nothing that another man could say to me that I haven't said 4 inches from the mirror to myself. And you got to have that damn talk. You got to look in the mirror and go, what am I doing? Who am I? What path am I on? And, I will say, luckily, I had good parents, mentors, the church, whatever, that set me up with that critical thought. And so I was able to kind of pull myself out of it, get my ass kicked by real life. And that was it. We had the come to Jesus moment and made some changes.
I mean, you're a musician. I mean, around that, I think it was probably earlier, but that Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson.
Yep.
It's just, to me, it's just like, it's all I can hear when you're telling me that story. And it's definitely something that's resonated in my life. I have stood in front of a mirror and had conversations with myself.
Yep.
On more occasions than I could possibly.
Absolutely.
And not great ones. Not fun ones. I mean, literally looking at me.
Absolutely.
And change didn't happen immediately.
No.
I mean, it was like over long periods of time.
Absolutely. And Jay, that's one of the most important things. There's kind of at risk of being just absolute here. There's something of a sickness in the way that a lot of folks think, and that there's a 0 or a 1. That the second you flip the switch, we're right there. And the reality of what we're existing in reality here is that everything exists in a gradient. And you need to understand that, tomorrow it's not going to flip from the 0 to the 1. You might be at 0.0001. And you have to trust in the process, the discipline every day. And I call it the walking through the desert mentality, where I imagine I am on a plane crash, just landed in the Sahara. Look at your freaking feet, 1 foot in front of the other, and just keep pushing.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I talk about it like, it's funny because I'll say, and every day you show up and every day you try to do your best. And you know what? Sometimes your best is only 50%. And if you do 50%, then, and that's all you had that day, then you didn't do 50%. You did 100% of your best that day.
Absolutely.
You're not going to you can give 100%, but the output and the results don't marry one another ever, or all the time at least. And, you know, you just got it. Like some days, 20% is all you got. Like that's it. And
Absolutely.
you can't do better.
Nope.
And like, you just have to forgive yourself and move to the next day and try your best again that day.
Wholeheartedly agree. And you know, I was fortunate enough, another thing that my father would say to me growing up is, whereas of course expectations are damn high because you have to hold the person to the standard they're capable of, but I was always shared, Chris, I don't care if you get A's, B's, C's, D's, E's, F's, G's, whatever the hell the score is. What I care about is, did you show up? Did you put the 100% in? That's what mattered. I heard that my whole life. And exactly, you are on the money.
We're talking to Chris Booth. He is the founder of Charm, HireCharm.com. He is an expert marketer, marketing mind, digital marketer, and just energy like you want, care like you want out of someone that you hire to be a part of your company, and not in your company, but in your company. And, we met through mutual friends, and I love the way you think, and I love the intensity that you bring to every interaction and every conversation, as we can hear here. So you graduate college.
Yeah.
Do you have a job?
I'll say no, Chris does not graduate college. What ends up happening is I get a call. I'm working, I have a few experiences.
Okay.
Maybe I go to a party, do some things, have my mind opened. And I go, man, I don't want to do this investment banking shit. I'm wasting my time. Convert to physics, start working in physics. And this is funny, man, because all of my best friends, they went, Chris, we're not going to the U of A. We're going up to ASU because we want to, well, you already know.
I get it. I know ASU. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
When I was in Vegas, we used to go to the Eagles, Cardinals games, and there was a Chili's. There was a Chili's on the corner of right where Sun Devil Stadium was.
Yeah. Okay.
This is before
oh my goodness. I know exactly where it's not there anymore, but
it's not there anymore. Yep. The whole thing, the rock behind the stadium, and the whole thing.
Yep.
I mean, like, I thought the women in Vegas were beautiful. I mean, oh my God. You go to Arizona State, it's like as a 19, 20, 21, your mind is blown.
Absolutely, man. And you're talking, we're from a little town. You didn't know people are looking like that.
I'm from the Northeast. You go out to Arizona State and you start seeing, you see girls at Chili's waiting on you that are look like they should be in the movies. Supermodels.
Absolutely, man.
Crazy. All right. So your friends go to ASU.
Yeah. So the friends go up to ASU, start chatting with one of my buddies, and he goes, hey, look, man, so I'm working in this radio astronomy lab. And, I've convinced I want to do astrophysics. I don't want to just do, I want to turn this to 11. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do all of it. And he goes, all right, so this is the deal, Chris. I'm hearing there's some whispers that MIT got this contract where out in the middle of the most radio remote part of Earth, out in the outback, there's a series of satellites and array that they're going to run, but they don't want to service the contract. So they're going to partner with ASU, and our radio lab is going to run it. Chris, you should come up to from U of A to ASU, and we can do this thing together at the radio lab, and I'll help you get a job here, and you can work an MIT contract. It was this huge thing.
Yeah.
We all work it out, end up transferring up. And one of my buddies goes, hey, dude, you should come to this engineering entrepreneurship class that we're doing. And I'll press fast forward on this, in that basically what ends up happening is the teacher takes everyone out to Top Golf, and basically says like, hey, I have this idea. He takes his best students out of the class and he says, I have this idea. And I'll tell you, this is freaking funny, man, because we had to pitch an idea for the class. And Jared, my friend, has an idea that what he's going to do is, and this is so funny with retrospective, and again, also just, this is the idea a 21-year-old would have. And so what we get is that what we're going to do is we're going to start kind of a talent agency. And today, this is actually a really popular model. But what we're going to do is, as you just made the comment, wow, there are so many damn beautiful people that live in Tempe, Scottsdale. Mm-hmm. What we're going to do is we're going to find all the folks that have huge followings. We're going to put them on a roster. Then we're going to go out to Vegas and we're going to say, hey, Hakkasan, except, all the clubs, we have this roster of awesome girls that will do these things, post in your club. They'll come and, party at your club for the next 2 days. You got all the expenses, et cetera, et cetera. And then we go back to the girls and say, hey, we'll get you, free transport to Vegas, all of that, and it's a win-win for everyone. And so, of course, again, this is what a 21-year-old thinks is, yes, we're going to get to for free.
Yeah, for sure.
And so it ends up kind of gaining a little bit of steam. And the teacher goes, I got a way better idea. Come meet with us, man. And everyone goes out to Top Golf, chat with a couple guys. And it's so funny, Top Golf, because now that I know this gentleman, the teacher, a very good friend, he's not a Top Golf kind of guy. It's like, man, you could have called us all out to a coffee shop. That would have been more appropriate. But we go out. And he says, hey, man, I've got this idea for this SaaS tool, has a service on the front end. We want to build this back end. We're going to do all this different cool tracking stuff with it. Would you guys like to build it with me? And well, that kicks off how we go on with our little group of about 4 guys to build a company called Tipsy. And by the end of college, about a semester or so away from the graduation, maybe about a year, depending on how fast we went, we end up selling off Tipsy. And it's pretty cool, man, because the people that we sell Tipsy to end up being a part of a roll-up for a nightlife fund that Sean White and a bunch of Victoria's Secret angel models are running. So we get to say, we sold off our company to, their name at the time was Hooch. Tipsy was a much better name. I'll stand on that. But we sell off to Hooch, and Hooch is leading this roll-up for all of these, big names. And so that kicks off how we then move out to Silicon Valley.
So you never had a job?
No. So in college, it was working at Tipsy.
No. So you left college, you transferred.
Oh, yes. Excuse me. Yeah. So if you're meaning the big boy jobs, getting the degree and moving out into the real world. No,
but you didn't get a degree. You went from Arizona to Arizona State.
Yep.
And then when you were at Arizona State, you basically started a company.
Yep. We built Tipsy, and I went,
did you not enroll in classes, or did you what happened?
And yeah, exactly. So I did, rocked it about a semester, and then Tipsy, we're talking, dude, it goes from, this is a really good idea, to first month, like 1,000 signups. Next month, we're talking a couple, and it starts snowballing. And
got it.
Cool.
So you're seeing dollar signs.
Exactly, man.
Screw class. How do I, and what are you doing at Tipsy? What's your role?
And dude, man, it's an early stage startup. We're doing freaking everything.
Yeah. Well, I know everybody's doing everything. Yeah. But what are you doing? What's the key thing that you're focusing on?
Absolutely. So I am the guy that gets to every single freaking day take down our list of venue prospects that we want to partner with. And let me give you a real quick piece of context. What this platform does is that you're going to, as a user in an app on the front end, pay $10 a month. It's going to give you 10 vouchers. You can redeem these on either skipping the line at a partnered bar, club, or venue. You'd have no cover charge. And then the bread and butter, and why this popped off, is you could have a free drink. And so we had this giant sign that said $10, 10 drinks. And I'd walk down Mill Avenue. And at first, I'll tell you, people were yelling at me Friday night, bullshit, scam, no way you're getting, and I'd go, your first drink's $10. Come with me. And we had, a partner bar that really loved us. We had a whole place set up with the bouncer where I'd walk up to him with the Tipsy app and go, hey, I'm going to redeem one of my vouchers. And then I'd look at the kid and go, don't believe me? So let's go to the bar. We go up to the bar and go, what do you want to drink? And he'd go, yeah, I don't know this. And then I redeem another voucher, hand him the drink and go, okay, so now you're going to go sign all your friends up, right? And they go, okay.
So why would the bars do that on the weekends? What was their value proposition? Because I could see them wanting to do it during the week, but I don't understand. I don't understand why. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was part of the objection that Chris would get to handle. And so, of course, I have my whole array of case studies that say, and I'll tell you what it was that you have this issue with velocity on Friday nights where people will come in, and a lot of them are going to come in, but they might not stick around because we're going to go from bar to bar to bar versus on the weekdays. Might plant my feet a little more. It might not be as popping at the next place over. And so what we would say is, listen, man, it actually basically averages out through the weeks. Sure, yes, you're getting more business, but people aren't sticking around. And our whole sale was that there's a stat that if someone buys one drink, if they redeeming the Tipsy voucher, that we could see that they would go on to buy in almost every case 2 more.
Could they only redeem one voucher, 2 vouchers a day?
Bingo. One every 20.
Okay, so they couldn't slam all 10 on a Friday night. Okay.
No, but it was 1 per venue. So they could slam the 10, but you got to do a little work.
Right.
So then we go to the bars. And of course, it's a very, very apt question. Why would we do this? And so, we have all the data that shows, hey, people are going to plant their feet. They're going to stick here. They're going to buy 2 more drinks on average after they redeem their first voucher. It's a way to make your place stickier on a Friday, Saturday night. cetera, et cetera. And so then the whole game is I got to look these guys in the face as they go, well, Chris, I'm charging $15 for a Grey Goose pour. And I go, listen, brother. And I'll tell you, at the time I was bartending. And so I had a little bit of pushback. I know the game. And I go, listen, man, your pour on a Grey Goose is 20 cents. Like, you and I both know this. So listen, I'll pay the pour cost on every voucher that's redeemed. And then you're going to get your next 2 drinks paid at full price. We both win. And I'll tell you, every single bar, when you call it out that way, they go, oh, okay, this guy knows the game, man. And they go, all right, cool. You pay the pour cost, we'll let them redeem the voucher. And I'll tell you, I got a really damn good story, man. We were hustling. And out in Scottsdale, it's a big deal, man. You got some top ranked in the world clubs. You got very cool places, fire dancers, pools, all of that. And there's a big one, Maya. And we worked hard to get Maya on our platform. And they are like, yeah, listen, we're the big guys. We don't need a little redeem voucher thing, man. People are coming regardless. And they ended up, keep in mind, we had the app, but we had a platform on the back end. And in this platform, you could do things like send push notifications to certain demographics. You could see stats on the people coming in. It was really cool for 2014 at the time, this whole dashboarding thing. And so one night, man, on Twitter, we get a tweet from Maya and they say, hey, we basically had an empty bar. No one was here. We reached out to single ladies, 21 to 29 on the Tipsy platform. And here's a picture of our bar an hour later. And it was just like 40 ladies just standing there, no men. And we screenshotted that, sent that to every investor, made it our Twitter banner. That was one of our big breaks.
Yeah. Well, believe me, once the 40 women were there were 150 men.
Oh yeah. We got the lag time there.
Crazy. Thank God I'm not in that world.
Oh man.
Yeah. But that's a long time ago. All right. So you sell the business and
so we sold it off. And
is that a meaningful event for you?
It's an okay event. I'll tell you, it's definitely good, but I'm the guy in the room that's going, guys, we're about to launch 23 different regions. I've been doing so much work to set up partnerships and all of this stuff. And
you didn't want to sell.
No. And I get 3 to 1. And they go, dude, come on, man. Let's get the hell out of here. What's next in life?
Do they own more than you, or do you own the same amount?
There's one other partner. We're about on the edge, and then there's kind of 2 senior partners, the instructor that brought us in, and then his partner. And so, we get a good payout. Life is good. It's nothing super life-changing, but what is life-changing is that we get the opportunity through this acquisition to move out to San Francisco and work for a gentleman named Tim Draper. And so Tim Draper is a very, very, very famous billionaire. And it turns out that through ASU, he runs a program called Draper University, and he's very interested in getting it accredited. So he reaches out to ASU and says, hey, ASU, you're the largest leaser of intellectual property in the world. We have colleges in China that we sell our ideas to, our IP. And he says, well, what could we do with Draper University and ASU to make the program accredited? Could we bring out instructors from ASU and have you work the program? And my teacher at the time, who is now the head of entrepreneurship, goes, yeah, I have a team and you need to bring them and I'll work it for you. And what does he do? He brings his Tipsy team with him, and we all move out to San Francisco and we work as EIRs at Draper University, helping the program establish a bit more, I don't want to say legitimacy, but maybe making it a little more structured in terms of like the accreditation, the outcomes there. And so, move out to San Francisco and then start the whole tech dance there, which that becomes truly life-changing. Because again, man, as I stated earlier in the call, and as we both know, the relationships are truly what makes life, the difference.
So you're at Draper for a year, and then next thing, which is it? Is it the next move? Where is that fan of a fan, or is it? I mean, so you're basically in the merch business. The next, right? You're in my business.
Yes. So, dude, again, man, I'll tell you that I was a little burnt. I've been working really hard, and I wanted to kind of pump the brakes a little. And I lamented that I had all these guys in my family, my dad, my brother, they're starting to get into programming, and they're, really building cool shit, especially my brother. He's doing awesome stuff. And I'm like, man, I never really got into it. I'm kind of, I'm technical, but I'm not in the box. And so I get into natural language processing, machine learning, and I start building these kind of customer service experiences. Through a few relationships, meeting folks, I end up meeting some awesome YouTubers. They go by the name of Yes Theory, and I won't downplay it. They are massive. They have a Netflix show. They do a bunch of different stuff, and it ends up being that they need help with a customer service effort. They introduce us to this gentleman. His name's Ryan Westberg, deeply influential man in my journey. And Ryan goes, hey, Chris, let me see those bots you got. Start showing stuff, and he goes, okay, I'm going to build this company called Fan of a Fan. And I'll tell you, I'm feeling myself at the time. Just sold a company. And he goes, you want to come work with me? And I go, nah, man, I want to start my own thing. And he goes, I don't know, man. And I go, well, listen, you can white label us. I'll help you build Fan of a Fan in lockstep. I will obviously represent you, but you got to let me build my own thing. Ryan enables me, and then we build both Fan of a Fan and Charm at the same time. And so it was through building those bots, the natural language processing, kind of going out to a few events, meeting those YouTubers. I get connected into that LA world.
So Charm started inside of, so it was almost like Fan of a Fan was your first client.
Yes, they were my first one. Absolutely. And I'll tell you, man, I was just wanted to sit in my apartment and build these natural language processing things. And, I had just some awesome friends that are just truly, truly deeply enjoying networking, like going out to the events, doing the drinks, shaking the hands. I like this kind of networking. They like going to the events and, yeah, what you got?
So what happened? So Draper University stops and there's a little bit of a gap there, right?
Yes. So, yep, I'm working on the bots, go out to the event, and then that's where I meet those YouTube guys. And it all kind of kicks off from there. And really what happens is that, at the time, I'm seeing that the best application for natural language processing, machine learning at the time is through service.
Where do you even get into natural language? Yeah. Where do you get into machine learning?
Man, you brush shoulders with a rock and you're going to learn about a new idea. But what I'll say is that it's dialogue flow. When you bring this up, if the person knows, when you say dialogue flow and their eyes light up, you go, okay, you know what, you've been doing this. And so dialogue flow gets released.
So then when was the first time you heard of like AI, and when did you get introduced to this whole concept?
Because by the way, 2016.
So you're 2006. I'm like 2024, 2023. Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like I'm like really super late.
Yeah.
But 16, you hear AI, or what do you hear?
So at the time, they're not calling it AI or anything. It's funny because it's still very largely labeled through and language model is like almost like a thing you hear about very random. Like it's not even set really. It's that natural language processing and ML. That's the hot ticket. And it's all about building chat bots. So you would go to pitches and everyone's talking about, we have this new chat experience. And then as we can now look back with the 2020 hindsight, these chatbots really become these language model things. And so that's kind of where the evolution, no one was selling their language model. Might have been talked about, but NLP and ML was really, truly kind of the core of what was being talked about at the time.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So now you've been at Charm for 6 years?
Yeah, about 6 years. And I'll tell you, as you know, with any business, you start off and you say, I want to plant my flag here. This is what I want to do. But as you meet different clients, you see different pains, you just, change as a person. Your goals might shift. And today, whereas we started with that kind of service, it's evolved pretty heavily to incorporate what we call the full funnel journey. So we're targeting marketing, we're targeting sales, and now we're also doing the service side of things. And so Charm has really blossomed. And, it was actually through a mutual connection of ours, Ravi, phenomenal gentleman. He actually sat me down and kind of had a talk with me. And he was like, Chris, listen, man, you're good at the service stuff. You're building all this cool things, all these different bots, all this stuff. You're playing around, man. You could be doing so much more. And it was really that combination. And with another life event, having a daughter, that kicked off, let's really turn this to 11. If I'm going to do it, I want to tap back into that intensity. And so
what do you have to do to turn it to 11? Like what's the unlock there?
Yep, absolutely. Dude, it's making a commitment to myself is truly what it is. I was playing around again that, hey, money comes in, I'm not really productizing things, not really actually building out structure. It's just kind of a freelance event. And I'm charging a lot for the freelancing, of course, and I'm happy, but it was just that, hey, listen, man, you could be doing a lot more. Come on. You got the talent. Stop screwing around. Sometimes it just takes another man in your life, someone with a bit more maturity, a little more perspective to just give you that smack. And, Ravi did that for me. And then so I lock in just in terms of discipline. Finding a business partner that is very in the weeds in terms of operations was a massively impactful thing for myself because I do tend to be a creative guy. I can get shit done, but I do like being an ideas guy. And that's a bit of a bad word. So finding a gentleman that could actually help me get all of that structured, handle, deliver, that was a very, very impactful
Do you describe Charm as an agency?
I would say so. We're talking about this heavily though internally because what are our goals in this kind of new AI age? Do we want to be this thing that scales into infinity and beyond and be a traditional true agency? Because what I'll tell you is that we're building out a phenomenal core team of excellent operators, truly gentlemen that could, as we discussed, they could probably all go start their own companies, and I have to take care of them. I've given all of them pieces of charm. They have ownership, and because, hey, like you said, man, they could start their own stuff. And so, I have a very kick-ass core team, and the thought is, man, we can do some really excellent stuff if we just break off as a small Navy SEALs team, man. We just operate as a team, not an agency.
I mean, by the way, that's how I consider you, as almost like a Navy SEAL team.
Yeah, absolutely.
For marketing. I know it's not, you're not helicoptering into compounds or diving into the ocean. Right. Let's
maybe in
sometimes in our language, we need to take a breath and understand there's people out there doing real things.
Yeah. Fair. I know I've been listening to some Jocko Willing podcasts, so maybe that's where that's coming from.
Yeah, I love it. So, all right. Last final kind of 5 moments together. What just out of what do you like? What's the ideal client for you? Like, who is it? Like, who's the person that you like? Are like, this is someone I want to work. Obviously, we all like working for the big brands. It's sexy. When we talk to somebody, we could say, "Oh, I work with so and so or so and so." The logo, we all fall in love with it.
Absolutely.
But like, who gets you up? Like, who is
the ideal client? So I'll tell you, for myself, what gets Chris excited, something that's tech enabled. And generally, those tech-enabled founders also tend to have kind of my other parameter. Someone who's creative. And I'll say, dude, you enable me 1,000,000% in that context. It's that, Chris, I don't care, man. Do whatever you need to do to make the thing happen. Those are the best, because that's where Chris is the best. I will say there's a lot of stuff I do good. There's a lot of things I do terribly, but I do have a bit of an X factor component where I have some really damn creative ideas, and the people that can put me into situations where I can employ those, install them, you're going to get the most out of us, and we're going to have the best working relationships. And so it tends
I feel the same way, like trust, like clients who trust me.
Yep. You're going to get the most.
I feel that way. I feel like being a great client is, not having someone feel like they're always in a position of threat.
Absolutely.
Right. Like,
Absolutely.
we're in the swag business, the swag business, you can Google something and think, better and get it for a dime cheaper or whatever. And, like my clients could do that. And the ones who I work the hardest for and the best for, don't.
Absolutely, man.
And I respect them for it. And I don't know.
Absolutely.
I could probably be bigger if I were just more cutthroat. I just don't have that piece of me.
No.
I like do business on a very human level,
Absolutely.
which goes back to something we talked about early in our conversation here. And that's important to me.
Absolutely. And I'll even share, just at even kind of a broader perspective, I believe it is the calling of a leader to take care of their community. And if all we are focused on is scaling, there are people that are going to get crushed under this machine. It is just a non-negotiable. I don't need to even talk about it. There are unfortunately going to be losers, people that aren't getting paid what they're worth, whatever else it is. And I think, again, if you're a leader, you have a calling to take care of the people weaker than you. And so you should always be involved in your business. You should know the people that are employed, know their families, et cetera, et cetera. And I'll tell you, man, we make really damn good money. We live a very, very freaking good life. And there's no reason I need to scale into infinity and beyond and then, damage the existences of these other people to do that. I'm going to turn around.
Last thing, what's your best instrument? I see the sax back there.
It's becoming the saxophone, man. I'll tell you. So it was the guitar forever. I've been taking all the John Mayer Berkeley classes, rewatching all of his stuff, and it was. But I'll tell you, man, I just got a compliment from my saxophone teacher. You know who Grover Washington Jr. is?
Come on.
Okay, damn straight, baby. Well, listen, he said the other day, he's like, Chris, man, I'll tell you, about 6 months ago, he like compla insulted me. And he said, Chris, man, I think you're doing it, brother. Man, you're there. He said, I think that you're playing jazz at about a 9th grade level. And I went, God damn, okay. And just the other day, he said, man, I heard a little Grover Washington Jr. in there. And I went,
wow.
Hell yeah. So he's my North Star.
Is that hooked up? Is that hooked up and ready to go? Is it
No, I'm not embarrassing my ass right here. I can't
really.
I'll do a private one.
Funny. It's so funny that you say you're not embarrassing yourself because
I've been doing it the whole time.
No, not at all. It's like you're so it's I'm sure it's extremely skillful, but I'll look for that. I'll look for that next time we chat professionally.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want you to do that, but you can bring out your saxophone. I am an artist. I think I am creative. I like to be creative, but I cannot play any instruments.
Dude, you put in the grind. I would bet you got it in you, man.
Yeah, I don't have the grind in me.
See, that's the difference there. See, I'm not taking the first answer. That one's the true answer.
Yeah, no, I don't have the grind in me. I mean, listen, I believe so. Could I learn a language? Yes. Could I learn an instrument? Yes.
I got other things.
But, the truth is, like, you actually can only do it if you're willing to put the time and the grind in.
Absolutely.
Business is no different. This is my sport. This is what I love. This is where the grind is. And I don't have a grind anywhere else.
No. And this is something, man, I'm having to wait for myself because it's like, dude, you got a family, you got a business. How do I go to the gym? How do I find time to play my sax? I got to take care of my kid, raise children, take care of my business. You start weighing things, man. And so I'll tell you, the gym's kind of fallen to the wayside. You do the sax for that hour instead. I got to start waking up earlier, man. Going back to that first conversation we had about taking care of the physical side of your existence. So, yeah.
HireCharm.com. Chris Booth. He's great. If you need any marketing assistance, I'm going to tell you, where can they find you? What's your,
absolutely.
How do we track you down?
Yep. LinkedIn is awesome. Christopher Booth at Charm, of course. I love having just, casual, regular people conversations there. Of course, you can always email me, chris@hirecharm.com. And then otherwise, I think I'm pretty all over the internet, so not hard to find.
I love the intensity. Honestly, it's, that's appealing to me, and it's, I bring it, you bring it. I love it. And I enjoyed our time together, Chris. Thanks for being on JaySapChats.
Absolutely, Jay. You kick ass, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to JaySapChats. I hope you leave a little bit better than you came. And here's wishing you a beautiful week.